Godzilla x Kong solidified the lore of the Monsterverse. Hello to all of you titans of industry. Welcome back to Nerdist News. I'm Kyle Anderson, and now I'm in fact made entirely of wood. Today we're going to discuss how the newest Monsterverse movie, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, gave us a whole heap of lore that redefines the roles of all your favorite giant monsters, what each of them represents, how the old prophecies came to be, and how it gives the cinematic universe a fascinating new status quo. As a disclaimer, this movie comes to us from our cool parent company Legendary, but it's Godzilla and Kong, so we'd probably talk about it anyway. Disclaimer 2. This will contain spoilers galore for GXK, so we're going to throw up a kaiju-sized spoiler warning. Spoiler phobes gone? Then let's begin. After the first two entries in the Monsterverse, Godzilla and Kong Skull Island, the films have grown the mythos of all the many enormous beasties and their realm, aka the Hollow Earth. We learned there's a hierarchy of these creatures, with the biggest and most powerful literally holding dominion over the lesser. Think of Rodan and the other titans bowing first to King Ghidorah and then Godzilla in Godzilla King of the Monsters. We know that many of these creatures have specific layers on, around, and under the globe, which give off nuclear energy, and that there's very little any of us puny humans can do against them. That's why staying on Godzilla's good side is so important. But then what do we do with Kong? He's always been the king of Skull Island, but unlike Tenacious D, it's hard to have two kings. This is a deep cut reference, and if you also are over 30, please let me know in the comments. Godzilla vs. Kong showed us what happens when the two biggest, baddest titans square off. Kong was always going to be the underdog in that contest, but he gave it his all. And we also got to see that, even if they don't enjoy each other, they can make a pretty good team to take on mutual threats, as that movie showed us with Mechagodzilla. That movie gave us our first inkling of the real differences between the two. Godzilla gets very territorial about the Earth itself, whereas Kong has an affinity for humans. Hell, his best friend is a human. He spent tons of time with them. He seems to actually look at them when they're around, unlike Godzilla, who still won't look at me. Godzilla was pretty adamant that Kong get the hell off of his planet, or off the surface of it anyway. So that movie ends with Kong traveling to the Hollow Earth. This is where we find him at the beginning of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. While Godzilla put down various monstrous uprisings at the cost of much of the world's great buildings and monuments, Kong has set up camp in the cliffsides of the Hollow Earth. But the twain, oh, they shall meet. Thanks in no small part to Kong's curiosity, he meets other apes, and they aren't the nicest. This is when we learn about the Scar King, a wily ancient ape titan who was once dangerously close to taking over the surface world. He has a kingdom of slave apes in a lair beneath the main Hollow Earth, but when Kong shows up, the Scar King knows he can make another claim for the topside. The Scar King has taken another elemental behemoth as his personal pet, Shimo, the ice lizard. He uses a magic tooth or spine or something to mind control her, and she can spell disaster for anyone who comes across her. This includes our man Kong, whose hand gets flash frozen. Kong's all, "Oh dude, I done biffed it real bad. Now my hand is totally bork, this super sucks." Or the ape version of that. Luckily for all of us, Godzilla has spent most of the movie traversing the globe, fighting other lesser titans to siphon power from them. This is how he turns pink, actually. He evolves from all the other titans' powers. One of these fights, by the way, is with Tiamat, the giant sea serpent titan. Tiamat's name first appeared in Godzilla King of the Monsters as one of the many titans who awoke due to Ghidorah. Despite this being Tiamat's first on-screen appearance, she's shown up as a thorn in Godzilla's side in several comic books. One of these is the recent DC crossover Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, in which Tiamat attacks Atlantis and later nearly eats Hawkgirl during a massive attack on Metropolis. Wild comic, check it out. At any rate, Godzilla has evolved, and Kong has a big ol' robotic glove thanks to Dan Stevens' Trapper and his ubiquitous Monarch knowledge. But even the two of them are not enough. Not when the Scar King has not only Shimo, but an army of giant apes. Luckily, there's another heroic titan in play. Wait, what do you seem to say? Who else is involved in this? Isn't it just a two-horse race? No! Y'all didn't realize this was a trifecta the whole time, did ya? And who better to join the fray than a beloved monster we've already met? It's Mothra! Yes, the Queen of the Monsters returns, following her memorable but all too brief appearance in 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. We'd hoped for her return, or even her own solo movie, cross fingers, ever since, but since she didn't appear in 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong, we weren't sure. Thankfully, Godzilla x Kong brought her back to us. As our human heroes, especially the former Skull Island resident Gia, played by Kaylee Hoddle, make their way into the Hollow Earth, they find out Gia isn't the last of her people after all. They have gone inward inside the Hollow Earth. They now live behind a barrier to keep the Scar King from reaching them. Gia then learns that she is the conduit to speak to the Hollow Earth's guardian. Said guardian awakens from inside a massive chrysalis. It's Mothra! While it's never entirely explained how Mothra is back after the end of King of the Monsters, we now know she's been in the Hollow Earth. Perhaps to heal from her wounds or regrow herself, who knows. Whatever the reason, she is clutch in defending Gia and her people from the Scar King's hordes during the above-ground fight with the other two titans. We learn via cave drawings in the Iwi people's temple that Mothra isn't just back, she has a very important job to do. She's the third prong in a heroic monster trident. Godzilla is the guardian of nature, Kong is the guardian of humanity, and Mothra is the guardian of the Hollow Earth. How this ultimately shakes out in the movie is that Godzilla's main focus is to keep the planet and its flora and fauna safe from harm. That harm can come from people, so we need to watch it. Kong, after the fight in Godzilla vs. Kong, needs to live in the Hollow Earth, but his calling is to defend humanity against various threats. Sometimes that threat might be Godzilla. I cannot stress enough how much Godzilla does not like Kong being up on the surface. He destroys a pyramid, he's so angry about it. Mothra, therefore, effectively acts as the Godzilla of the Hollow Earth. She defends the creatures living down there. This also means she defends breaches between the realms of the Hollow Earth and the outside world. In the movie, she keeps the Scar King's hordes from traversing the breach. She also breaks up the squabbling between Kong and Godzilla. This is more or less exactly the way Mothra has been depicted throughout her 63 years of cinematic existence. All the way back in 1964's Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Mothra convinces Godzilla and Rodan to stop their stupid fighting and team up with her to fight Ghidorah. One head for each of them, you know? So now we know the basic setup for the future of the Monsterverse. Godzilla will still be the irascible defender of the ecosystems of the world, and Kong will still step in to save our bipedal atom-splitting asses. But now we also know Mothra is back. Gia can communicate telepathically with her, and she might just intervene when needed. This once again leads us to hope against hope that a solo Mothra movie is in the cards. As far as Toho monsters go, she's easily the second most popular behind Godzilla. In some polls, she even takes the top spot. After her debut in her 1961 solo movie, she fought against Godzilla in 1964's Mothra vs. Godzilla, then teamed up with him in the aforementioned Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, as well as 1966's Ebirah Horror of the Deep and 1968's Destroy All Monsters. The 90s were her heyday, if you ask me. In 1992, we had Godzilla vs. Mothra, her first showdown in the Heisei era, and she further fought against the big guy in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla in 1994. Beginning in 1995, we had a trilogy of Rebirth of Mothra movies outside the larger Godzilla continuity, but no less great. In the 2000s, she appeared in another trilogy of Godzilla movies before laying dormant again until 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. Until that time, we're just happy to know Mothra has taken her proper place back in the realm of badassery, defending Hollow Earth from threats both within and without. But tell us, what do you think? Are you excited about the future of the Monsterverse? What do you think about the trifecta of Titanry? And why is Godzilla so mad at Ancient Wonders of the World? At least he gets to curl up all cute in a Roman cat bed. Maybe the most adorable thing I've ever seen, and I have cats. Let us know in the comments below, and for more in the latest and greatest in the realm of pop culture, keep it glued to Nerdist.com.